It's a six o'clock hour, so I'd like to have the mics turned on and call the meeting to order. Please turn off your phones if you have them, and please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You guys did a good job out here. I heard.
Yeah, that's what I got to open with. They did a phenomenal job. Thank you. You guys are great. Okay. Roll call, please.
John,
Here.
Dan,
Here.
Wanda. Here. Ryan,
Here.
Don.
Here. At this point in time, does anybody have a reason to abstain from any of the action that's going to be brought before the commission?
I do not.
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 Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. You have the revised agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we were going to add something for Mr. Lane about the James River.
Yes.
Where would you,
Let's put that on when Mike's still around. Okay, so we'll do that after West 11th Street load limits.
6A.
Pardon?
6B?
6B.
6B, A, B.
And I think we're also gonna add the wind solar.
I think that's
Is that
that's
on
for
there?
the August.
It's gonna be on the August 1st one? Okay, I thought we were adding it tonight, but okay.
Did we want to have a discussion on that? I know we probably won't take action, but we did say we were going to discuss it. I'm fine with not taking action on anything, but we probably need to get a direction on where we're headed.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to go, depending on the route we're going to go, we'll need 10-day, if we decide to go temporary zoning controls, then that's setting a hearing, which will need to be 10 days, and we'll need to know what we're going to do before we do that. So I hate to just.
We'll put
keep
that
going
in
and going.
at 12B after the sheriff's.
Okay. So,
And what is the solar? Is it wind?
Solar, wind farms.
I
I'd
would,
just say
Yeah,
a
'cause I think
solar
the-
discussion and keep
I
it
think the
just at
paper made it
solar.
well known that we were gonna talk
Yeah.
about it tonight too, so.
So I guess it's just solar, correct? That's, I think, the only thing we're discussing, not wind farms. Is that correct?
I thought we'd discuss all three, but yeah, but it's
I
just
thought
a
we should
discussion tonight.
what's
discuss
the
all
third
three.
one?
Pipelines.
Pipelines.
Was that, I don't know if that, was that in the?
We don't
paper?
have to do it detail, we'll just say what our plan
Okay.
is.
So it is solar wind.
I would move to approve the amended agenda.
Have a
I'll
motion by Wanda, second by Ryan. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda's approved. Next, we have public comment.
Ed, would you, we have a Bonhomme County Commissioner here, like to recognize. Ed, would you like to say anything or address the board? Just briefly. Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Welcome to Yankton County, Ed.
Wait,
Gotta turn the mic on. I'm Edvin Gertman from Avon, I'm County Commissioner there, and I seen in the paper where we're going to address this solar issue. And what I was kind of wondering is, do you have things in line for the wind farm issue too, or is that gonna be another time?
We feel that there's a need to look at wind farms, solar panels, and also underground pipelines.
Okay,
And we'll be working on those over the next few months.
okay. I forgot to bring it along, but in Successful Farming magazine, they had a deal in there that Biden has put 11 billion into this fund for rural electrics, and over 1 billion is to be used like for solar and wind farms and hydropower, not hydro, but the storage unit and a few other things. So those are loans and grants, so I don't know how much activity that's gonna create for people, to get into that. But I would think it could mushroom a little bit. So I commend you for kind of getting things lined up here, and so whatever you do, we're gonna do, so.
So we're looking,
Thanks for your confidence, Ed.
we're looking at one of your other neighbors, so
Okay.
that's already done it, so yeah. Why rebuild the boat?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Laura?
Do you want me now or when you get to the talk?
When do you just gonna talk about wind farms?
Yeah, sorry.
Why don't you make your presentation now?
Okay. All right, hello, I'm Laura Katalik, and I actually drove to Minnesota just a couple weeks ago, and I noticed this nice big field of solar panels. And I thought, oh, I wouldn't want to look at those, but I know that they're putting up more and more of them. If you have a solar panel on your house, my nephew has some on his house, or on your business, to me that's different than having a whole field of them. Anyway, so I kind of have three main concerns with fields of solar panels. The first one is the long-term effects, and it is long-term because they want a 20 to 30-year lease on them. They contain a lot of chemicals. If you look, there's like a whole list of chemicals that are in them, and part of that is a lot of those chemicals are coming from China and Africa that are used to produce them. But then when you have a hailstorm that damages them, or if those chemicals leach out into the soil, you can have a lot of soil contamination that could last, like, I don't even know how long. But you're also taking really good ag land sometimes out of their current use, whether that's crop production or pastures or whatever the use is that you're currently using it for. And then the third thing would be that when a company decides they're not going to repair or fix or replace, or they're just done because the money ran out, because really a lot of these that rely on all these government subsidies aren't fiscally responsible to start with, and they're not a good financial investment once the grants run out, then who's going to pick up the pieces, literally? Like, if they just leave all that stuff, which I kind of worry about the wind farms right now too, because there's so many wind towers that you see that are not working, and then they just sit there. So if you have those on your property, who's going to remove it? Is anybody? Will they just get left there? Are you going to have to haul the dirt out and get it clean? Does it just destroy the land and take it out of production once the solar people have exited the picture? And then who pays for that? And what do you do with all those products? So I think there's a lot of unanswered questions on, that might not affect us. Like if it's 30 years down the line, it's going to be our kids or grandkids who have to deal with that. And so that's just something to think about. And I also like to have coffee on my deck in the morning and look out, and that's not really what I would like to see behind my house either. So I just really feel like we need rock solid ordinances put in place. And I commend our Planning and Zoning Commission for wanting to get ahead of this so that they can have time and really iron out a lot of these issues and details. So if and when the moratorium idea comes up, I think that's a really good idea, so that they have adequate time to fully research and figure things out.
I'm going to stop you now because you only get 3 minutes.
Okay.
But you can sure come up and talk when we go over solar.
Nope, I'm done. That was it.
Okay.
That was it.
Thank
I
you.
just want them to have time
Thank
to
you.
write their ordinance. And if I would have known it was pipeline, I would have had another one. So we'll save that for next time.
Thank you. Katie?
Are we done with public comment?
We just did it.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for allowing us to visit your meeting tonight and let me speak. My name is Mary Fiedler, and I am here as a representative of the Yankton County 4-H. Joining me this evening are leaders Michelle Hewitt and Megan Cummings, and I have some members with me, Kinley Lindner, stand up, Ann Bay Hewitt, Ellie Cummings, and Addison Danelko. We're here to extend a special invitation to the county commissioners to join, and the people of Yankton, to join us at the Yankton County Fair on August 4th and 5th at the Pine Acres 4-H grounds at 905 Whining Drive. The 4-H Fair kicks off on Thursday, August 3rd, with the 4-H members bringing their exhibits, and this is also a time for open class exhibits to be entered from 3 to 6 that day. There are a lot of activities scheduled during the fair on Friday, August 4th. We have live animal shows, the vendor fair starts, there's a kids pedal pull, Yankton Community Library will be there with activities of puppets and books. Face painting, the 4-H supper is that evening, there's an ice cream social, and the 4-H beef show is the culmination for that evening. On Saturday the 5th, we have a pancake feed to start off the morning. Kids pony cart rides, the vendor fair will be going on again that day. The South Dakota Farmers Union Farm Safety Trailer will be there, the Great Plains Zoomobile, face painting, kids painting corner, bingo, barnyard carnival, and at noon the county fair raffle. With the exception of the 4-H supper and the pancake feed, all events are free to the public thanks to our many donors and sponsors for our events. Now, if the 4-H members may approach the bench.
I wanted to add one more thing
Sure.
you might consider on the agenda. The Yankton Morning Optimist has received that train
Oh,
that they use at,
that's right.
and
check with
you
them
should
and-
contact them and see if they could
Sure.
give kids train rides for a while.
I have contacted the fire department, and they are checking to see if they have enough volunteers to bring the smokehouse. They just had a meeting last night to discuss that, and I've got my fingers crossed that they can bring that, because the kids love to see that.
Yep.
So I'll put that train down, yeah.
Okay, we look forward
If-
then to hearing
Can I have
from
my
the-
4-H members
Yeah.
approach your, with permission, approach the commissioners? We have a little gift. We have a couple of gifts for you. It's a county fair t-shirt, which we all have on tonight. And a couple of, this was designed by Bella Healy, one of our 4-H members from the Get Up and Go Club. And then we have tickets to the 4-H supper, which is being served Friday evening, August 4th, from 5 to 7:30. And it's going to be a delicious
Thank you.
meal. It's a barbecued pork sandwich, cheesy potatoes, green beans, and then there's ice cream served afterwards. So you're all welcome to come. Everyone is.
So can we have each one of these kids stand up and introduce themselves and tell what the project they're gonna represent?
What are you gonna exhibit? Tell them one thing you're gonna exhibit. Don't be shy. Come on.
Pressure's on now, so.
I will maybe be baking banana bread, and I'll be doing arts and crafts.
Do you sell that banana bread?
Yes.
Okay, in the auction, I suppose.
And my name is Kinley.
Thank you.
My name is Bay, and
What are you gonna exhibit? Something you're gonna exhibit.
arts and crafts.
Arts and crafts. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
My name is Addison Danelko. I'm going to be exhibiting crafts.
Thank you.
My name is Ellie Cummings, and I am going to be exhibiting a stuffed animal puppy.
Thank you. You guys all seem very engaged in the program. It's a great program.
Yes.
Keep going on it. Thank you.
Yep, we're very proud of you.
Yep, exactly.
Let's give these guys a round of applause.
Michael. Federal bridge grants.
Yes. So we have, is it 12 grants we're going to be applying for? The main grant that we're after is Stone Church Bridge. The application, well, the program is a 18.05% match for the county. So we have that one, and then the rest of them, the other 11 applications are for bridges that are on non-federally aided routes.
There's no way we can pull this up on the screen, I don't suppose, for the public, is there?
The reason we're applying for so many is it's 100% funded. The county does not have a match in it. So I figured we'll roll the dice and see what we can get.
Sounds smart to me.
So I know there's a few where the modified big score is too low, but it's eligible, so.
No, I appreciate, Mike, you and your team, and then also John, for all the work, you guys have both put into this. It's a big ask, but, you know, if we get it, it'll be a big win for Yankton County too, so thank all of you guys for this, are some pretty in-depth packet, so I know it took you guys a lot of time. Appreciate the work you put into it.
So I guess we'll need a motion for each bridge number for each application.
Each,
Individually, or do we gotta, can we do them all at one time, or?
Patty, how do you want this?
No, it has to be each one.
Okay, I make a motion for bridge ID number 680300018.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion for bridge number 680361660.
Second.
Which one is, just a second, they were going in different order than.
Okay, that's the one over Martin
160.
Creek. Yeah, that's how it is in the packet, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
the
on
second.
307th Street on Tabor Road, the one on Tabor Road, correct? 307th?
Dan and John?
Yes.
Wanda.
Wanda.
Or
I'll-
Dan and Wanda.
Yeah, 680361660, 3 miles south and 3.4 miles west of Utica over Martin Creek.
I would make a motion to approve 680400158.
Second.
Have a motion and a second,
It's on 432nd Avenue.
discussion. I'll get them all at the end. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
I'll make a motion to approve 680430023, 6.7 miles north, 2.3 miles east of Lesterville, South Dakota.
Second.
Have a motion by John, second by Wanda. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Ryan, you want in?
All right.
Get in
I'll
on
make a
this.
motion. I'll make a motion to approve for bridge ID 680800163.
Second.
Have a motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
I would make a motion to approve 6814015,
Second.
which
Have
is.
a motion by Wanda, second by Dan. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve bridge ID 681800133.
Second.
Oh, he beat you.
Motion by Ryan, second by John. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve bridge ID 6818670.
Second.
Motion by John, second by
Dan.
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 Yep.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
I would make a motion to approve bridge ID number 682022130.
Second.
Motion by Wanda, second by Ryan. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
Motion to approve bridge ID 682134040.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by John. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
That was
Aye.
me. Aye.
Opposed, the same.
There's plenty of
Motion
bridges,
carries.
guys, don't
Well,
fight.
well,
There's plenty of
I
bridges.
understand that, but I'm not sure John and I sound alike.
I'll make a
This is
motion.
your tax dollars really at work here. We get big pay for doing this.
Motion to approve 6821650.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Ryan. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Motion to approve bridge ID number 6823980.
Second.
Motion by Wanda, second by Ryan. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
That's a lot of work, Mike. Jeez.
When we get them all, you're
Yeah,
gonna be busy.
Yeah, man.
And just so you guys know, the reason there's no dollar amounts on these, there is no cap. There's no grant cap on that. So they put it out to bid, and just like Stone Church, you know, we had 4 million on it, and it come back as 8 million. Well,
Yep.
it doesn't matter, so.
I'm hopeful we get this too, but if we do get the bridge improvement grant for Stone Church, that's gonna be at least 2 million at the very least.
To the
probably
county,
more.
yep.
Probably county, so we're gonna have to sharpen our pencils.
Well,
Next item
let's
on
get
the-
it first.
The,
Yeah.
the thing with this grant though is that if we get it approved, the, whatever it comes in at, it's not like last year when
Sure.
the bids came in at this amount
Yeah.
and we couldn't afford the balance. We're only entitled, or on the hook
Yeah.
for 18.5%.
Yeah.
And the bridge will go through if we get this grant.
Right. Yep, it doesn't matter if the bids come back 2 million more than what we thought, 10, or is it 5 million more, the grant will go up to that.
Yep. Did you wanna stick around while Jim comes and speaks on
Yep,
this?
I
too?
can.
Yep.
Okay.
Next is West 11th. I guess West 11th, we added gravel to it, milled it, blended in some base stabilizing chemical, did a chip seal on it. There'll be another chip seal coming yet this year. Anyways, talking with Don and a few other people that live out there, they would like to see some kind of a load limit on there for all year.
So what are they suggesting?
Well, I suggest we go with 7 ton per axle. 7 ton per axle, 80,000 gross. Just for the fact that some of the garbage trucks, actually during spring load limits, they have to come and get a permit just to do their business at 6 ton per axle. So if we go to 7, that would cover most of everything, so.
Could we go 7 ton per axle, gross at 65,000 versus 80?
Yep, we could do that.
Semis are gonna run 80,000 pounds.
Right,
If you went 7 ton per axle and you have, even if you have a tandem axle truck,
right,
you're gonna have
21 ton,
21 tons, so that's 42,000 pounds.
yep.
I would make a motion to approve that 7 ton at 42,000 pound max on
Okay.
that road.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and under discussion, I want to point out that the farmers that farm that ground have access to their ground from 314 without driving on it, so it should not affect any farmer that's farming out there.
Correct.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
I'll get some signs ordered. So,
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
yep.
Have a good evening.
Well, I don't think he's leaving just yet.
Oh. Boys and Girls Club.
No, no,
Oh,
we're doing 6B,
6B, okay.
the Jim River issue.
I've got a pretty simple proposal for the
You have-
commission tonight.
you have to tell
I'm
us-
Jim Lane, lifelong resident.
Pull it up, Jim.
Can you hear me?
Closer.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay. Jim Lane, lifelong Yankton resident. Pretty simple proposal for the commission tonight. With all the bridge construction we're hoping to do, one of the things that's kind of getting lost in the process here is every bridge is a recreational site. It gives you ingress and egress from that river. And that occurred to me when I first heard about this, and I reached out to Mike. And I said, boy, it'd be nice if instead of people parking along the shoulder, they had a place to go. And he agreed with me, and he really, he pointed out to me more, his concern was more the safety issue than the access issue. Because people, the Johnson Bridge particularly is terrible. There's not even a shoulder, and they still park there. And that's true of every bridge. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Kelly's Cove. I think you're probably all familiar with that, and that's just a really good example. That Kelly's Cove area, the game fishing parks already has a substantial amount of ground immediately south of the bridge. It's always been a public area. They always had a boat ramp there. There was a lot of recreation there. They haven't maintained it well. There's no longer a boat ramp. With the high bank erosion, it's really dangerous. I mean, I'd be reluctant to take little kids there, and if anybody's got any mobility issues, the water is just unavailable to them. And what I'm asking you to do is just approve a resolution kind of signaling some public support for creating those recreational opportunities at those sites, because they're going to use them anyhow. So instead of, having them park in an unsafe place, create an area that'll be more attractive.
You're talking about like similar to the one on 81 on the west side?
That would be a good example. The people you have looking at these construction jobs right now are transportation engineers, and they do a good job. But they're looking at getting traffic across that river. They don't really want anybody parking or turning or spending time there. And they're going to in any event. And the safety isn't just for somebody who wants to recreate. I talked to Paul, and he pointed out that, when they have to get on the river in case of some type of emergency situation, access, they might have to travel several miles around just to get on there. So their safety is a big concern. The other thing I'd point out is you can really get some efficiencies in construction if you can combine projects. I don't know if this will lend itself on these particular bridges at this date, but even if they coordinate the bidding schedule and the completion schedule, you'll attract contractors. The more work you have in the area, your bids could become a little more competitive. And I just think there's a lot of advantages to be gained. Right now, the game fishing parks, tourism, they should all be looking at these projects as an opportunity, and that would be good for the whole county. And along with that safety, there's also a kind of a cost of inactivity here. If you look at that Kelly's Cove area, it's kind of overgrown. It's not very attractive. You don't have much traffic there, but it is a public area. It's not well lit. When you set up a situation like that, it will become attractive to some element. And you probably will have some activity that's kind of undesirable there. So I just think that if we have a little public support for some projects that go in that direction, you find what you're looking for, and right now nobody's looking. If you do this, you pass a resolution signaling that there's public support for that, I'll probably go after the Jim River Water Development District to do the same thing. We might have a man on the inside there. And one other thing I'd just say is this is pretty low bar. It doesn't take a lot to improve this situation. If you're ever on Highway 44 up there between Clayton and Parkston, and you go down, it's another old dance hall site, the Milltown area. Those people up there, they didn't do it with much state assistance. They formed a little association. They've got a beautiful park. It's got fishing, picnicking, they've got a little campground down there. And it really shows you what could be possible. And we've definitely got areas along here, the game fishing parks, they've got programs in place to develop and acquire these things. And a highly erodible bank in a frequently flooded area isn't like a real expensive piece of real estate to acquire. So with that, if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer anything I can. But
Do you have any feel about how landlords, existing landlords, owners would feel about giving up more of their land?
yeah, I do. I don't know that anybody's giving up more land for this. I'm not suggesting that. It's just taking, like I said, this is, I don't think any valuable farmland should be turned into a park or anything like that. These are pretty small areas. Some of the adjoining landowners, they're kind of used to having that river to themselves. I imagine that might be a little change for them. But at the same time, if we can get more people to appreciate it, you get lots more support for all these projects. And I think people realize that. There are some economic benefits to this. If you start getting a little more recreation out there, that's a little more sales tax,
There's a potential other funding source for the bridge too.
That's-
I mean, like Fleeg's Bridge, for example, if we could get a grant for, say, a Fleeg's Bridge from Game Fish and Parks to replace that could be the difference between Yankton County able to afford to replace that or not. And people are fishing there anyway.
Right.
So.
That's the
yeah,
big thing. They're
I
going to
just
utilize
think
it anyhow. But at the same time, if this is really, if you give this a little, the wheels turn slowly, but now they're not turning. If you give it a little momentum here, it starts, ideally, what I would hope, because this is true everywhere, it's not just the Jim River, it's across the state. A smarter guy than me said, everybody I've talked to, nobody's been opposed to this. Yeah, it should do that. Well, nobody ever has before. It should be part of the initial process when they're scoping these jobs. They should recognize that this is going to be, we're going to need some recreational access either at the bridge or nearby to keep people off the bridge. And, it was explained to me like that if you're familiar with that big money and the point system, if they gave them more points for better, safer access, that would be baked in right there. And that's ultimately, I think that's what should happen. But right now, it's not really on the table. There may be, you could ask Mike, but I think this isn't I don't think it's going to cost the county anything, but it may access other resources for funding with these jobs.
Somebody has to maintain it,
Yes.
so there will be some cost to somebody, but who
And
knows who?
honestly, I think the Game Fish and Parks should have that in their budget. Yeah, it's a question of do they spend it on the Jim River or on the Missouri River?
I understand your point and I agree with you. I think it's a good idea. we have to advertise it before we can approve the resolution.
Sure.
And we will discuss that and get it on the agenda.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being involved.
Thanks for bringing that up, and also the Milltown Island area. I was very frequented that 45 years ago, and actually that's where I met my wife, so,
Is that right?
yes.
I was probably one of the last people to attend the Milltown Dance Hall while it was still there, yeah. That is kind of a generational thing, but have you been down there since they turned it into a
A few
park?
years ago, yes.
Yeah,
And it's very nice.
I just passed through there a week ago. It looks great. It
Yep.
really does. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Boys and Girls Club. Caitlin and Cody?
Green light.
You're gonna man
Ryan, you might have to give it the magic touch again.
Well, there's something going on. There's
There it is.
Okay.
Alrighty, so we'll get started. I'm Caitlin Christie. I'm the Chief Development Officer for the Boys and Girls Club of the Northern Plains.
And I'm Cody Frick. I'm the Chief Program Officer for the Boys and Girls Club of the Northern Plains. Thank you for having us.
So we just wanted to give a little update about the Boys and Girls Club, as well as just give a little background for our recent request that we sent into the county to support the Boys and Girls Club for the 2024 budget. So the Boys and Girls Club, if you're not familiar, we're on Mulberry. Right next to the middle school. Our mission there is to inspire and enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to realize their full potential as productive and responsible citizens. So we kind of do that through what we call a formula of impact, which is meeting those youth that need us the most, being open to them, and then leading them through outcome-driven club experiences. So this is through intentional programming with trained staff at our club sites. We host pre and post tests and do surveys with our youth to kind of measure what they're learning while they're with us at the club. And then we hope that they end up kind of with our priority outcomes of academic success, character and leadership, and healthy lifestyles. So really able to take that next step after graduation, either that's going to college, entering the workforce, with just a full wealth of knowledge and experience to be successful in their future. So if we're looking specifically at our Yankton Club and how many kids we're serving there, in 2022 you can see our total membership was 1,029 youth. So that's made up of a couple different programs that we offer for age groups. K through 5th grade, we have an academy program that this last year was served out of St. Ben's and Stewart. We had 179 youth there, 565 in 1st through 5th grade attending our club by the middle school, as well as that at that building had 285 teen members. You can see most of our membership does come from the city of Yankton, since we are located here, but we do reach a lot of cities around the area as well to serve the full Yankton County. And then we do have a drop-in fee of $1 a day, so youth don't have to have an annual membership to attend the club. They can come to the club for a day and just pay $1. So that's why that total youth served is a little bit higher. We had over 150 youth using that drop-in service. While kids are at the club, we also serve a lot of free daily meals and snacks. We serve 2 snacks during the summer, and then we use the school summer food program to offer a free lunch. During the school year, we offer a free evening meal as well as a snack, so you can kind of see 76,000 meals served or snacks through our club. And then right now we're seeing a really high attendance rate throughout our summer of 350 youth, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that later, but serving a lot of kids on the daily at our Boys and Girls Club.
So the reason why most of the kids come to the Boys and Girls Club is for a safe and positive environment. But not only that, while they're there, we're able to provide high quality programming for these kids to experience a number of opportunities that they might not otherwise get to experience. So here's a kind of an extensive list of some of the fun programs that we offer at the Boys and Girls Club. Some notable ones that we're really proud of. We have a great partnership this summer with the Heartland Humane Society called Book Buddies, where the kids get to go and sit down and read books to cats and dogs that are awaiting adoption, and that's really beneficial both for the animals and for the kids to practice their reading. So that's a really fun one. We also run something called Torch Club, and Torch Club is a leadership club for our teens that they are able to kind of create a small business for the club. They're able to come up with a business plan, put a price on whatever they're willing to sell or their business service that they're providing. And then the kids really get to decide on what they're spending that money on, how far of an outreach they are creating in the community, and ultimately just gives them ownership over the small business that they're creating. A few other ones, we have an OJJDP mentoring program. So what that really looks like is we know that all kids can benefit from a mentor, right? So that's why we see programs in the community like Big Friend, Little Friend, and at the Boys and Girls Club, we partner a staff member with a small group of children, and they meet throughout the entire year. So not only is it, a really good opportunity for one-on-one connection and positive adult influence, but it's a long-term goals that they create with the students. They meet in small groups, and the students that we get to pick for these small groups are the ones that have higher risk for other external factors that could So, and then we also have a really fun program that's really popular, and if you've paid any attention to the Press in Dakota, I'm sure you've seen our pictures in there, but we have a fun program called the Garden Club. We have 8 garden beds in the Boys and Girls Club, and all of the kids get to plant them, prune them, harvest the fruits and vegetables. And then during the school year, when we start suppers again up in August and September, we use that produce from the garden and to make healthy foods and suppers for the rest of the kids in the club.
So our expanse in kind of these growth areas of our programs has also mean that we see a lot of more kids coming to the club. We've seen a 71% change from 2017 to 2023 in the average amount of youth we serve per day. So you can kind of see that growth. We are right around that 200 level just a couple years ago. Obviously took a dip kind of during the COVID era, but are now serving more kids per day than we ever have. So a lot of this growth has also come with a lot of new programs and partnerships that we've been able to establish at the club. So I've mentioned our K through 5th Academy program, which is a licensed fee-based program. So it's licensed by the state, and we have state assistance funding and scholarships available for youth to attend that program. And then we have our 1st through 12th grade program, which is a $25 a year annual membership or the $1 drop-in fee to attend that program. We also started a Club Tutors program, which is funded through 21st Century Grant funding, and that program is free to youth in 1st through 5th grade. It's hosted at the elementary schools in town, and we serve youth in specifically homework help, kind of helping those who are maybe falling behind in school to reach grade level. And all of those we specifically serve in math and reading. We're also establishing a lot more partnerships and relationships with Lewis and Clark Mental Health to provide mental health counseling, group counseling, some case management services for youth and families at the club. And our club has become really a good meeting site for a lot of those counselors to see the youth that maybe have previously been referred, especially during out of school time. It's a great place for them to connect with the youth at our club. And we've also received some funding for the Yankton County Youth Diversion Program, which really helped expand kind of our teen court program that was running previously. So we'll give some more updates about that program.
So you guys have heard plenty about our youth diversion program, but I just want to reiterate how impactful of a program that this has been for the Boys and Girls Club and the juveniles of the county. So this program is solely to serve kiddos that are 10 to 18 years old who have been referred by the state's attorney's office following a misdemeanor crime that they've committed. So the state's attorney's office decides what juveniles they send to the program, and it is operated entirely out of the Boys and Girls Club by the youth diversion director. And so this program is 120 days, and the kids all are case-by-case management style with the youth diversion director. So if Mr. Alec decides that this individual needs extra tutoring or extra counseling based on, you know, family dynamics or their school life situation or maybe a mental health diagnosis or maybe a family situation, he kind of caters that. What's the word I'm talking about? The requirements for that individual to the specific kiddo. So they have scheduled intakes, and they do a mental health evaluation for every kid that comes to the program. So regardless of whether it's a drug or alcohol offense, we note that there is a lot of mental health issues going on these days, and so we want to cover all of our bases. So Lewis and Clark, again, has been a phenomenal partnership in that realm. We run a number of different programs at the Boys and Girls Club that assists these kids in kind of gaining their, I guess, societal stand. So they focus on leadership. We do a lot of healthy lifestyles programming at the Teen Center for these kids. A lot of academic success, again, career readiness, and workforce development type of programs with these kids. The other aspect that Mr. Alec kind of delegates for these students is a number of community service and volunteer hours. And so really just teaching these kids to give back to the community and give back to the school district and those types of things so that we can successfully complete them. So the goal of the whole program obviously is to, an alternative to detention. So instead of sending these kids potentially up to Sioux Falls for to the detention center, which we know that costs the county a lot of money, we take these kiddos under our wing and we're able to provide a program for them that builds trust, provides them a safe place at the Boys and Girls Club, and then hopefully get that charge off of their record.
So this program was a 3-year grant-funded program that we received July of 2021. It was court-approved in October of that year, and the funding is set to end July of next year. So what it's kind of offered, like I mentioned, is expanded our teen court program, which was our county partnership previously, to include the youth diversion and conditional release for the Yankton County. We had 127 youth referred from that October date until April of this year. 70 of those were successful completions, which means the charge was taken off of their record, and we had in April 75 currently still active in the program. I know that number always fluctuates as more youth are referred and more complete the program, but as of April, that's where things stood. And Cody mentioned this too, but there's a lot of partners and other people that have really gotten involved with the Yankton County Youth Diversion. A lot of these partnerships and relationships are really managed by our club staff and the youth diversion director to make sure that all departments are working together, creating a work group to meet and discuss kind of the challenges or opportunities that have come with having this program. A lot of work with those in the county, city, and local school districts there as well. So just a lot of work and effort put into that diversion program.
So I kind of touched on that the program is operating out of the Boys and Girls Club, but I just wanted to really reiterate the benefits of having it at the Boys and Girls Club. So we are a neutral check-in site. So the students don't necessarily feel like they are in trouble, quote unquote, every single time they have to check in. And so the Boys and Girls Club is a welcoming environment, which is something that we really try and promote for all kids, and especially these ones. So we build relationships with them and their families, and we extend that into the school district and the administration there. So say, for example, there's a student that isn't necessarily able to have transportation after school to check in at the club. We are able to go into the schools and check in with them there and get it all taken care of, so it's not an extra burden onto the family. We have a number of parent and family engagements, so we really try and get the parents and the guardians involved in the situation, so everyone is on board, everyone's on the same page, and that if there is a need that we see maybe in the mental health assessment, then we can touch on that with the entire family and not just the individual student. I talked a little bit about the curriculum that we offer these students to participate in, but we talk a lot about behavior management and certain boundaries. It's a lot of leadership opportunities, and then some of the fun programs that they get to experience is a perk and a plus too. So Caitlin touched earlier on the membership of the Boys and Girls Club, so it's really eye-opening for a lot of people to hear that we only charge $25 for the entire year for a student to come to the club, but that $25 membership fee is waived for those kids to come into, so they don't have any sort of cost. And then not only that, the other benefits are the safe and positive environment. We have the free access to those daily snacks and then hot meals at the end of the night during the school year, so that they don't have to worry about taking care of that stuff when they get home. And then we really promote a sense of belonging. So really accepting the kids there at the Boys and Girls Club that, just as they are, we don't want to change them in any way. We want to help them become a better version of themselves the best that we can. And then we really work with them on relationship building. So maybe that's an area of opportunity for these kids. Maybe it's an area of opportunity for the entire family, and we really focus on that too with the whole family.
Cody, could you touch on, I see, like warm evening meals? I don't think a lot of people realize how many kids in our community probably don't have that. It's
Absolutely.
sad. And, without your program, they might not get a good meal
Absolutely.
throughout the day, especially during the summertime. So.
Yeah. Yep. So we are really, really blessed that during the school year we have a great partnership with the school district, so we're able to provide lunch for the kids at no additional cost. There's a number of other clubs, even in our organization, that charges for lunch, a small fee for lunch, but we're really lucky in Yankton that we don't have to do that. And then additionally, in the summer, we have that morning snack, which serves as a small breakfast, and then our afternoon snack after the kids have been running around all day at the swimming pool going on field trips. And then during the school year, every single night is a hot evening meal. We've had a number of volunteers come in that help teach those culinary skills to the kids and to the teens, and they've really found satisfaction in getting to learn a new way to cook. And then it's a great perk for the parents and guardians too. They might get off work late. They don't necessarily have to worry about cooking an elaborate meal, or maybe even stopping through a fast food chain. But then not only that, their kids have already taken care of their homework for the night, have their tummies filled, and have had a great experience after school too.
So with that, we just wanted to reiterate that we appreciate your past investment in the club. We feel like we've become pretty established in the community and a great resource for our families in a lot of different ways. We are in our 14th year of operation. We have an endowment fund that we've established. We want to be a sustainable program for our community for 14 more years to come. We also are a great employer of a lot of full and part-time staff like Cody and others, and we are a recruitment tool to the city and county, just with the childcare that we do offer after school and during times where parents might be working, and we're also developing those skills in our youth as well so that they can be successful when they're graduating high school, and then we just have more dreams to grow. We want to continue to be a strategic growing organization that's able to continue to serve more youth more often. So we just appreciate your investment in the past. Hopefully we can partner more in the future, and want to open it up for anything else.
I have a question. Isn't it true that the diversion program isn't really being operated out of the Boys and Girls Club now?
It's being offered or operated, I'd say, very much in partnership with the state's attorney's office. Obviously, there's certain cases where we need to share resources or people aren't available at certain times, so it's really become a partnership.
So is that a yes?
I would say
it's not being operated out of the Boys and Girls Club, and that Mr. Alec has an office somewhere outside the club?
Alec has access to an office outside of the club for situations where that's necessary. I guess it would depend on what you're saying operations are. Alec is offered office mostly out of the Boys and Girls Club. Intakes are taken there or set up kind of inconvenience to where the student needs to be.
I understand that, but I also understand that there are some children who are in the diversion program who are not welcome at the club. So obviously they can't go there, so they have to meet with Alex somewhere else. Would that be true?
Yeah, that would be true. And we work with the kids and the families to get some of those things situated. I know we had a situation recently where we were working with Deb to figure out how to service a kid who, for understandable reasons, was not able to attend the club at that time, and try to figure out how we continue to serve that youth. But that would be, that's a very rare occasion, very exceptional case that happened. But most often we're able to serve youth at the club.
Is Wanda referring to the cases that might be going to the arrangement that has been made with Vera?
I think she's talking about that in partnership with Lewis and Clark Behavioral Health, there's an opportunity for
Yes.
a separate office. That's not up and running yet, as far as I know. Last I heard, maybe August, they're hoping that he would have access to that. And there's also been a request, they've contacted both of us to see whether or not we would like that opportunity to be in their new facility as well. So,
When you say they, you mean Lewis and Clark?
Lewis and Clark, correct, yeah.
But Mr. Alec is at the club, and whether he is meeting with the kids at the school for convenient purposes or things like that, he's solely at the club.
The operation is out of the club, totally.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
As they walk by back, I'd mentioned that in today's bills that we'll approve, there's like $48,000 being paid to attorneys for the last 2 weeks.
Of 27,000 of that has to do with the Nick Hines killing of Brianna Knoll.
Yeah.
And the appeal.
Yeah.
And the habeas. And the
Yeah, I'm not
resentencing.
saying it's all there, but I'm saying.
No, I know, but
there's a
that's-
significant amount of the funds that go to pay attorneys and legal fees, that if we could avoid those with young kids,
Well, there's
it's
also,
gotta be good.
there's also 17,000 that we are currently paying this month to JDC for keeping somebody who obviously can't be treated in the diversion program or corrected. And I don't think that Nick Hines' shooting of Brianna Knoll can be compared with children who need extra help and food.
To me, that's your issue with the legal department. Okay, next item. Ryan, Register of Deeds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Auditor Hoyam. Our year got off to a pretty slow start. January, February, March, April were slow, but things really picked up nicely in the second quarter, May and June in particular. Just in terms of fees collected, we collected $58,000 in the first quarter, $75,000 in the second quarter. I'll just give you a few of the second quarter numbers real quick. In terms of vital records activity, we issued 259 birth certificates, 267 death certificates, 54 marriage licenses, and 84 marriage certificates. In terms of real estate activity, we recorded 235 deeds, 144 mortgages, 112 mortgage satisfactions, and we had 245 property transfers. Revenue, like I said, we collected $75,000 for the quarter, and of that, $36,900 was from transfer fees, $30,600 from regular fees, and $7,372 from copies revenue. June was really a good month for us. We collected a little over $20,000 in transfer fees, which means we sold $20 million in real estate in June, or we recorded that many sales. That's the most we've had in a month since last June, when we had 22 million. And then the June before that in 2021 was also over 20 million. So June seems to be becoming the high water mark as far as real estate activity. Just to put it in perspective, the first 5.5 months of this year, we had just 4 real estate transactions that went over $1 million. And then during a 2-week stretch from June 21st to July 5th, we had 6 real estate transactions that topped the 1 million mark. So the warm weather seems to spark those sales. Of those 6 recent real estate acquisitions that topped the $1 million mark, 4 of those were farmland sales in the Gayville area that ranged from 1.1 to 2.5 million. And then we had 3 large commercial property sales recently. We saw the Jodine's property sold for 1.1 million, the mall sold for 1.6 million, and then the Plains Marketing Building sold for 1.2 million. So, and July's been good so far. It looks like it'll be our second busiest month this year. So hopefully we'll continue this throughout the rest of the year. Any questions?
Could you, would it be possible, do you have resources through the state or someplace to provide information on what fee level other counties similar to ours charge?
Well, it's all pretty much statutory.
Yeah.
We all charge $30 to record a real estate document. We all collect $1 per 1,000 in transfer fees. We all charge the same thing for birth certificates, death certificates, marriage licenses. The only thing that we can vary a little bit, and some counties have their own policies, ours is to charge $1 per page on copies. And, that's one that we have discretion if we want to make that lower or higher.
Well, with inflation and everything, maybe you should go through the state and get the rates bumped up a bit.
Okay, now, like I say, the copies, you and
No,
I.
I'm not talking about copies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about the rest.
Well,
of the
that's a
stuff.
good point, Don. The transfer fee, like I said, $1 per 1,000, it's been $1 per 1,000 for 70 years. And actually, before that, it was $1.10 per 1,000, so we went down. $2 per 1,000 would be more than reasonable, and that would be, in our county, that'd be about another $100,000 a year at least.
So Brian, can you tell me the difference between a marriage license and a marriage
Yeah,
certificate?
good question. A marriage license, you have to come and get that before you can get married. That gives you the permission to get married. A marriage certificate is something you get after the marriage that is your proof of the marriage. So the marriage license is $40. The proof of the marriage certificate is $15. And you need that certificate if you want to change your name on your driver's license or social security card, that kind of thing. So yeah, $40 to get permission and then $15 for proof.
Okay. I don't think that was around 43 years ago.
Yeah.
It was probably less, for sure. Yeah, these vital records we sell, birth, death, and marriage certificates are $15 a piece. When I started, they were $10 a piece, so they have gone up some. But that was 18 years ago, so.
We don't have much luck at the state level getting sources of income to the county, but these should be looked at.
Yeah, that's what transfer fee is, obviously something that should be looked at, I agree.
A lot of times it's statutorily like the $10 amount or the $20 amount, and that goes and goes until the county loses money for a number of years, and then it's up to another point, and it's good for a while, and so they don't give counties discretion on very many things. So.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the Register of Deeds quarterly report.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Wanda. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, pose the same, motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate all you
Thanks,
do.
Brian.
I know you had a long day of budget hearings Friday, so we appreciate that.
Next item. Eric.
Good evening. Following the meeting on Friday, as you all still know, I'm still fairly new to my role and still breaking my time in, so I'm going to gift my time to Troy, who's going to be able to give a little bit better report than I would just by skimming off the top.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Troy.
Hi, Troy.
You got the information in the packet last week about the number of calls that we have run in the second quarter of 2023. 650 total calls, 407 of those were transported calls, 243 of them were non-transport calls, and as you can see also we did 31 interfacility transfers during the second quarter, so that number is starting to pick up a little bit, and 10 airport to hospital fixed wing transfers during the second quarter as well. Down at the bottom of that page you can see too, we had talked about this a little bit. Dan, you had brought this up at the meeting on Friday about the third crew calls, and you can see we did.
I jinxed you on that.
Yeah, you sure did. Because as soon as we left that meeting, we had a third crew call. But we did 18 of those third crew calls during that second quarter. So again, we are starting to see that number tick up just a little bit as well. And you can see in that graph that just kind of lays out of those 407 transported calls, obviously the biggest number of calls transported to Avera Sacred Heart, but you can see that there's quite a few different destinations that we have on there: Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Norfolk, some to the nursing home.
Troy, when you do this report, I kind of know where most of these are, but like Faith Regional, that's Norfolk,
That's
right?
Norfolk,
Maybe
yep.
if we could have in quotations, just so I know where most of these are. What's the difference between a Chan Gurney Airport and Chan Gurney Municipal Airport?
It's just two different ways that our software recognizes it, and it's just depending on the person who's authoring the report, which one they select.
We should probably maybe fix that, because it, comes up as two different things on the report, but it's probably the same thing.
It is the same
right?
thing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is that the same as, I see we got Avera Hart is different than Avera McKinnon, which is different than an Avera Care Flight, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The Avera Care Flight means that that could be a helicopter that landed at the scene that the patient was flown off from the scene.
Got it.
It could be that sometimes they select that when they are out at the airport, when they're putting them on an Avera McKinnon fixed-wing airplane.
Okay. Thank you.
And then you can see at the bottom there the last 15 months deposit trend. For June, our deposit was about $51,000 from QMC, which it's kind of a roller coaster ride up and down over the last 15 months, just kind of depending on how the revenue is being received by them as well and how it's getting deposited to us. But I'm sure all of you are aware that we have made a decision to get away from QMC for our third-party building and to bring it back in-house again, and so we're working on that right now. Eric has actually been busily working, trying to get things put together for that and get ready for when we make that changeover, which will hopefully be in the next month or so. Any other questions you guys have?
650 calls this quarter. I mean, we're on schedule for another record, or pretty close, are we not?
Yeah, if you took that number just itself times 4, that'd be 2,600 calls. Now, I
Yeah.
don't think we'll do that because,
I hope
we're
we
probably going to do that many calls for the next quarter, but the last quarter of the year, we usually drop down a little bit as the weather cools off. But I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 23 and possibly even 2,400 calls this year.
Wow, that's a lot of calls.
Keeps going up every year.
Yeah. No, we appreciate everything you guys do, that's for sure. I know you've mentioned this, both of you guys, but like Don had mentioned last time, fees that we charge with the inflation and everything going up, probably time to take a look at those. And
Eric and I did talk about that a little bit today too, and we're going to start putting a plan into place, and Eric actually had gotten some information about that.
Great.
And I think that now would be a good time changing billing systems and that. be a good
Yeah.
time to implement some of those
Yep.
increases.
Well, and with the change of the system, it's, when it comes to the billing practice side of it, we know that it's gonna be a little bit of a bumpy road. And talking with Brenda today, I'm like, there's gonna be a bit of a storm, it's gonna rock the boat, but on the other end of it, hopefully we've got that course corrected and we're heading in the right direction. With the system we're going to, in the processes that we're looking at, it should actually hopefully reduce our, percentage of payback by about 26%.
Wow.
So
Impressive.
that should be very beneficial for our group, but for us to get there, it's gonna be some highs and lows, kinda like what we're still seeing, but the tail end of it should be good.
I don't have any more questions. So. I'd make a motion to approve the ambulance quarterly report.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Ryan. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Gary, second reading of the ordinance rezone.
Yes, this is second reading requesting to rezone 6 lots in a rural transitional district to moderate density rural residential district R2 per Article 18, Section 1809, and Article 20, Section 2003. Said properties are legally described as lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, Valley West Addition in the northwest quarter, the southwest quarter of Section 4, Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Anyone have any questions?
No.
Entertain a
That's-
motion.
Mr. Chairman,
you have
let's
to
open it
read
up
the
for
fi-
public
Public.
comment.
Public comment? Done.
Do we have to,
All in favor of,
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the rezone.
I'll second.
Dan, motion, second. John, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Maybe
Aye.
you want to do a roll call on that one? Do we need to do a roll call, Patty, or not?
You can.
Okay, then fine, either way.
Dan,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Wanda. Aye. Brian.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Rob,
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm happy to report instead of spending all your money, I'm bringing money into the county.
good.
Good work.
We'll come to you for more.
Sure. So, as you can see by my report, on the first page, just kind of shows a graph and all the different types of areas. And I might be changing this up a little bit, either taking out or adding some additional areas of focus. But for the past quarter, we've pretty much increased the total amount of contacts per month. If you go over to the second page, I kind of broke it down on the money side of the house. So back pay, I broke it down for each month, April, May, June, showing you how much back pay was brought into the, county and surrounding communities, close to 100,000. And then for new awards, for this quarter, there's new awards of a little over 32,000 compared to last year. For the same quarter, we've doubled what it was last year. Down to the fifth paragraph. So totally, for a total amount of compensation received by all our veterans and, you know, family members or surviving family. It's a little over 5 million. And that's just to date, so that's up to today. Is this just VA compensation, or is this? Yeah, this is just VA So that- compensation. That doesn't even include Army retirement and No. combat-related No. special compensation and all Nope. the other ones either. Yep. So it's actually probably quite a bit higher. Oh, than yeah, that. I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. For last year, the whole year, the county received 4.5 million. For the county veterans and spouses and surviving spouses received 4.5, so we're doing pretty good this year. I mean, we already surpassed last year and we're only halfway over. Rob, are you seeing an increased number of like claims or inquiries, at least due to like the PACT Act? I mean, I know
Yeah,
it's
I
getting a
mean,
lot of
that's
visibility
pretty
out
much
there.
what most of my work
Yeah.
has been dabbling in, is a lot of PACT Act, and I would have to say majority of the veterans that I'm seeing are the older veterans, Vietnam era veterans.
Yeah.
Especially those that, you know, meet the criteria for high blood pressure. You know, that got turned into a presumptive disease that was caused by exposure to Agent Orange. And there's still a lot of Vietnam veterans that don't know that. So, you know, if you know a Vietnam veteran that was in your family that might have high blood pressure, have them come talk to me.
What time are you available?
So, I'm available more often now. I was actually working on my own claim here for a little bit there, so I'm sure a lot of people were getting the voicemail more often than they would have liked to, but
Today I attended a meeting at the Yankton Thrive, and they were talking about different methods of workforce development in the county.
Sure.
And one of the things that I suggested is that they contact you.
Sure.
And talk about ways that they can get addresses and names of people that are being discharged.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
they can contact and encourage employment opportunities here.
Sure. I got a whole drawer full of resources, so
Yeah.
you bet.
Yeah, Yankton has a huge veteran population. It's bigger than most of the
definitely.
counties around us, so.
But yeah, like you're saying, you know, I have been seeing a lot of veterans for the PACT Act. I'd say at least 60% of my veterans I'm seeing are for the PACT Act, and 40% are, you know, already service connected, and they're looking at possible increases in their compensation or putting in a new claim for something else. But yeah.
I've had, in the last 2 weeks, I've had 2 notifications from veterans in the county that have said you've done a fantastic job for them.
That's good. I'll make sure I thank them for letting you know.
Yep. I attended last week, the county funding study, and one of the issues, you know, all counties are mandated to have county VSO, but what we're finding is, you know, not all of them are full-time. Some of them have 2, 3, 4 jobs, and when they have time, county VSO, and we really appreciate that Yankton County, we've made a commitment to have a full-time person, and I think it shows by the satisfaction level that we got. And yeah, the info I have is we have 1,678 veterans in Yankton County, and that's by far exceeds most of the other counties around us.
Sure.
So,
And I appreciate not getting assigned multiple hats. I like being
Yeah.
able to focus strictly on veterans, so.
yeah. And that was one of the issues they talked about with that committee, is that it's getting so precise with some of these claims, is if you have 3 or 4 other hats and now you're doing a claim and you make a mistake on that, now that's costing the veteran and it's costing his family And we've asked those people to sacrifice enough already, so.
So when I was listening to our, I guess our association president speak with one of the subcommittees over the South Dakota Public Radio, one of the comments he made is a lot of these smaller counties are having to resort to, hiring somebody just because they were in the military and they might think they could do a good job, but unfortunately, they don't really have the computer knowledge or, the electronic knowledge on using different devices and whatnot, so they tend to struggle. But, the more experienced of a person that you can get in that position is going to help
shows.
that county. That's all I have.
Any other questions?
No, I guess, for the public, just so they'll know, I'll make my point again. We're budgeting $62,759, and by South Dakota Codified Law 33A 1-30 and SDL 33A-31, we will be reimbursed $4,812.15, or 13.4% of our budget. So I guess the state supports our veterans in Yankton at a 13.4%, and the county does at 86.96%. So, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Preston? Oh, yes.
Make a
Dan
motion to-
moves, John seconds.
Okay. Aye.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carries.
Hello. I'm back for another round here. So this is just the sheriff and jail quarterly reports. As usual, it's pretty much the same thing. As of right now, we're still not accepting ICE or BIA just because we can't accept a payment. I don't know what's holding up the government on the SAMS number, but they're still working on that.
They're broke.
Yeah,
right?
just like, well,
They
the
don't have
marshals are
any
still
money.
paying, so that's all
Yeah,
right. July 1st, the Department of Corrections, they are now statutorily have to pay $95 a day. So whenever there's a Department of Correction hold and we house them at the jail now, that's changed to 95. Surrounding counties, I'm looking at maybe upping that because right now they pay 85 a day. So I'm looking at adding that additional $10 probably for the local surrounding communities that want us to house. And then for the marshal holds, like I said in the budget meeting, we are currently negotiating on that one still, just kind of not on the numbers yet, but I'm working hard, probably in October. for
So
that
sure,
one.
the state probation holds, you said those have gone up too then?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the state legislators this last year passed that they must pay $95 a day, so.
From
it's just-
from 70 to 95?
Yeah, so just like when you said, it takes a little while, but the state legislators noticed that the Department of Corrections was getting by having local facilities hold these people, and so now we're getting $95 a day for that.
Any questions?
No.
I would make a motion to approve our sheriff's quarterly report.
Second.
John moves, Ryan seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same, motion carries.
Thank you.
I'll try and get a hold of you. I tried today, but I couldn't get in
Oh, for
contact.
Alice
with-
training?
Yeah.
Yep, that'll work out. Thank you.
Thanks.
We have three plats tonight. First one being plat of lots 17, 18, 19, 77, 78, 78, and 79, Crestview Homes subdivision in the northeast quarter of Section 21, Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Wanda. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same, motion carries.
Second one's plat of Anderson Sunrise Second Edition in the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 12, Township 93 North, Range 54 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Is this one just fixing an error?
Basically, they're just adding in some buildings on the farmstead that weren't in the original plat.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Wanda, second by John. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion carries.
Last one's plat of Lot 1, Lancaster subdivision in the northwest quarter of Section 15, Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
What are they just splitting off this building, Gary?
Yeah, they're basically putting a new building in that crosses the lot line. They own the two lots currently. And so they're just tying them together so that they can fit the building in.
Move approval.
Second.
Have a motion by Dan, second by Wanda. Ryan? Sorry, Ryan.
That's okay.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Did you write down what I said was going to be 1312A?
I don't know if the crippled guy can sign.
What did I say? I can't read my writing.
We were gonna discuss solar 12B.
Solar farms? Oh, yeah, solar farms, I got it. Yep. Next, we'll have a discussion on solar wind farms. Gary, did you want to lead that off on where we're at?
So basically, when we were at the spring workshop and planning commission and brought it up also, we started discussing solar farms across South Dakota. Last month we met and I did a initial draft to get the ball rolling, where we added certain features like decommissioning, looking at setbacks, looking at various definitions that we would probably want to use and things like that. So next month's meeting, we'll make the changes from the discussion that was done last month, and then depending on what's decided on a moratorium that they requested, we'll continue to move forward either way. So
There was some discussion about the moratorium.
Do you want to get public input first, or?
So really one quick question, Gary. With the solar farms, they were really only talking about solar cell array farms.
Right.
Because there's lots of different solar power generation plants that are being built that use other technologies as well. So we're really just that's the only thing that was covered in that conversation, right?
correct. And I mean, there is already a permitted use for like the ones for on the homes and things, and I think that'll continue forward. The big question is where to draw the line on where we may want a conditional use, and they kind of talked about last month going to about 50 kilowatts and then requesting a conditional use. Anything over 100 kilowatts goes to the Public Utility Commission and in Pier first, and then it comes to the county after that. So
Just enumerate again what our plan was again. And that's to develop the criteria, to present it to the public, to have 2 hearings on it, and then a vote on it.
correct, unless you put a
And the
moratorium
public can
on it.
make input on any one of those 2 meetings, 3 meetings.
Right.
Okay.
So basically, Planning Commission requested a moratorium so that we could explore these issues of what may or may not happen with especially these bigger farms. So that's why they're looking to have some more extra time to dig into it more.
Well, I've contacted, I think, 3 of the resources that you sent, other counties, and it seemed like 90% of them were almost word per word. Distance, number of acres, were the main concerns. So we don't have a lot to decide on if we can adopt another county's ordinance.
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. I think where the differences have lied throughout the state, I think, is more on the setbacks. Some are going less, some are going a lot more, where to put them, and the environmental concerns that have been brought up earlier in the meeting, things about where does this get disposed, how does it get disposed. I did find out that our local landfill does take broken ones, and then they ship them over to Vermillion. But but the question was, what does that do to the land? And that's a big question too.
Was there any language for like decommissioning, site cleanup, site restoration?
Yes.
Or also even just site maintenance too, because these, I've heard of a lot of issues too of just the site hustle having maintenance issues, when they're running for 10, 20 years, so.
Right. And that's what they've kind of said in a lot of the documentation, is that they generally are used up in that 30-year range. But yeah, we definitely started the discussion on decommissioning. That's a big issue for wind and cell towers, and that's always a concern of how is it getting paid for, and how are we getting rid of it when that time comes that they're not using it anymore.
And those are the things that we want to get into the ordinance for the reading, for the public to know and understand. So why don't we at this time reopen, and if you want to say anything more about? You're good? Okay.
Lauren Nelson, Planning and Zoning. I guess if I'd known how much brouhaha a moratorium would cause, I don't know, I still would go through with it. How this all started is Gary gave us examples, the Planning and Zoning examples of different ordinances of local counties. I kind of disagree. They're very different. I think they're very different. And as I sat down in June and I started researching and trying to figure out, okay, why does this county have this and this county doesn't have that? I just had more questions. It just gave me more questions that I needed to find answers for. And like you said, the decommissioning. A lot of these ordinances that you see from other counties, it just says, the company will be responsible for decommissioning with no specifics in it. And like Dennis Michael said that night, he says, does that mean they just come in with a backhoe and dig a big hole and fill it in? And again, that's not going to something that's, unless it gets hailed out like in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. If any of you know, 40,000 panels got busted after only 5 years of use. And they're still wondering, they don't know where it's going to go. So, but if it lasts the lifetime of 20 to 30 years, I'm not going to be here worrying about where it goes. It's going to be my kids and grandkids. And I don't think taking a couple months to write an ordinance is enough when you're talking about 20 to 30 years down the road. What I see as a moratorium as what that is time, without having to worry who's going to come through Gary's door on, down the road. Is he going to have somebody come through his door in a month saying, hey, we're interested in a solar farm, 2 months? I mean, a moratorium just gives us time to do a thorough job. I talked to a zoning chief down in Kansas. They took 8 months They put a moratorium in. They took 8 months. And I jokingly said, hey, you want to come up to Yankton, South Dakota and help us? And he goes, no. He says, if I never hear the word solar farm for a while, I'll be good, because that's how much effort and time they put into it. I want to do this right, and I want to make sure that we give you, the commission, a good product that you can look at and you can question, and we'll have the answers for you. And not having to give you a product that you're going to say, hey, there's too many questions here, you need to redo this. And that's the ultimate goal that I have, is to give you a quality product. And that's what happened, this commissioner, or the supervisor, I don't know what his exact title was. But like he said, they took our time, and the commissioners were very appreciative because they had a good product to deal with. So a moratorium doesn't mean we're banning, solar. It just means giving us time without the worry. Because I think that's the thing that concerns me, is the fact that who's coming through Gary's door? And when are they going to come? Because like the gentleman from Bond Home said, look at, was it billions you said invested? They're giving to solar farms? Billions of dollars. That's a huge incentive by these companies. And we're sitting here.
What's the $1 billion for?
Solar.
Grants.
Yeah, grants by the federal government.
Grants, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the county didn't give anybody any money.
No.
Federal government is going to.
Yeah. Yep.
So we can go green.
So we can go green until a hailstorm comes. And then we got to go back to electric, like out there. So, again.
Maybe just wood and fire.
What?
Maybe just wood and fire.
If they get rid of these, coal-fired plants, we might be. Who knows? But again, I still have a lot of, somebody asked me a question last night when I was talking to somebody. He says, these solar farms go in and say they go in on zoned ag land, right? But they're producing commercial energy, right? Now, is it going to be rezoned to commercial? Or does it remain agged, and how is that taxed? And I'm like, I guess there's another question I have to figure out too. So again, there's just a lot of questions, and I have a friend, like I said, out in Pennington County, who is on the county commission out there, and I asked him a month ago. I said, you have your solar farm going in out there by Box Elder, and what would you do different? What decisions would you make differently? And he says, how much time do you have? Pretty much. And so I'll be seeing him next week at camp, and I'm going to pick his brain like you would not believe, to see what, because again.
That's exactly my point, why we don't have to spend forever doing this. It's already been done very well in certain locations, and we have to learn from what they did.
Right, but it's
and
picking.
move forward.
Yeah, but picking those pieces from those, they're so different. And the other thing that we have to think about too is the fact that, on average, an acre is 2,000 panels. And
a lot of that is now though, and this is so new. In 2 years, 5 years, it's all going to be different, and so we need to be able to be flexible with this too, because how it is now is not how it's going to be in the future. And if that's the case, we would have had a better ordinance for campgrounds and everything else too. I mean,
and that's exactly why I bring up
yeah.
the point. We got to think of not just a solar panel, but we have to think about any type of solar power generation facility.
But and we're going to do that, and then the next thing that we haven't even thought about is going to come up. Like when they wrote this ordinance, nobody thought about solar panels, but it's here. And to Don's point is, we have to address it in a way, and we gotta move on. We can't. I don't know what that time is. 3 months, 4 months, something. We got pipelines. How long we've been working on wind towers? 4 done, and we still haven't got it done. We got cell towers, Gary. How long we've been working on that? Still haven't had that done. Still haven't done. And so I get it. I led hundreds of combat missions in Iraq, and I never felt like I had all the information that I needed. But we did the best we can, and we accomplished it. And some were better than others, but we got to do the best we can. And I would rather have a 95% solution in 4 months than a 98% solution 3 years from now, which will change. So we want a good solution, yes, but we gotta address it in a reasonable time too. So, does that make sense?
It does,
So-
it does, yep. And no, I don't see
So-
this carrying on for, I mean, I did say I would like one for indefinite until we get this figured
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
But again, it just gives us that time to make sure that we do a thorough job. Because again, this isn't, you don't get a once that first solar farm goes in, you don't get a redo. You can't say, oh, wait a second, we made a mistake in our ordinance, we need to change this. You gotta live with what you have, and I
But we
Yeah.
can't assume that they're all gonna be bad. We can't make that assumption.
I think we do, to be on the safe side,
I can't,
you know, because,
people need electricity, they don't want to freeze in the winter, and there's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't vote for having one, but
I guess it's just time to, without the worry, and giving you, the county commission, a good product.
So I was actually asked by the planning commission to look into the moratorium, and also Mr. Clemish. The statute, there is a statute that talks about it, and it's a total of 2 years. You can do it for a year, and then you have to have another hearing to extend it again or to lift it. There's a process, requires a hearing and everything else, so.
Doesn't it require publication
Yep,
as well?
Yep, so I'm certainly happy to share with Gary what I found, if you then want to put it on your agenda as a, you know, the question of whether or not you approve the moratorium for the next meeting.
Does it have to be a year? Can it be 6 months, 9 months?
You know,
But it maxes a year, is 2.
The max is 2 years, and it's a first year, and then you have to ask for another year. And there's a couple counties have done it. I can tell you there are also plenty of counties, Don, that haven't. They've gone ahead and done their ordinances, but I was asked to look, and so that's what I came up with. I'm happy to share it with Gary, and then he could share it with you guys, and then decide if you want to put it on the agenda for the next meeting so that Patty can notice what it is that you guys are proposing.
And Deb, you're referring to SDCL 11 to 10 temporary zoning controls. And honestly, I think that's probably the way to go. And to Gary's credit, when he kind of originally brought this up, if we did move, because right now solar's not covered under anything. If we did move it to at least a conditional use permit, what that would mean is they would have to come in, see Gary, come to the planning commission. You guys look at it, decide if it's a good fit, okay? If they need conditions, you do your due diligence. This is not a appropriate area. It doesn't have the correct setbacks. We need a decommissioning plan. You can put that on as a condition on the conditional use permit. But at least that way, if it's a conditional use permit, we have those hearings. Because right now, we have nothing.
But if you,
Right, but
but
if
if
you
you
did-
don't have setbacks in the ordinance, can they just pull setbacks
Well,
out of the air?
I'm saying
Yeah,
a CUP
I
is
think
better than.
that's a
I
lawsuit
think that's a
waiting to
danger.
happen.
I think that's a dangerous strategy because, yeah, exactly,
Okay.
that's a lawsuit.
So-
We're going to be acting then on something where we don't even know where the ordinance is going to finally
Right.
land up.
With the moratorium, you either do it and nothing happens, or you decide you're gonna enact an ordinance, and then however you're gonna.
I think a
guess-
safe way is to have a moratorium, but I also
But-
agree with you that
yeah.
we can't have this go on forever. It needs to have a timeline. We need to get to a point and have the ordinance in place and lift that moratorium.
But I guess how I understand is temporary zoning controls means that we have to publish something. So what would we publish then as our temporary zoning controls?
That the
That there's a moratorium that nobody can do it
but-
until there's an
Yeah.
ordinance.
I guess in the past, though, Rob said that we couldn't do moratoriums, and I guess what's changed?
Well,
I know you weren't here at the time, but he said we couldn't do moratoriums because, so I'm just wondering what's changed.
And all I'm
Yeah.
saying is, if you look at
Yeah.
what a couple of counties have done,
Okay.
they've termed it a moratorium under that section,
Statute.
under that
Yeah.
statute. Again, I was asked literally probably
Yeah.
today to look at that. That statute exists, whether or not and how it applies, that's
Yeah.
why you would need to get it on the agenda and have a hearing about it and discuss its appropriateness, so.
Yeah, I think you would have more problems if you suddenly decide to put a moratorium in place after someone's already started a project or tried
Oh,
to
yeah.
start doing a project.
Oh,
That's
oh, yeah.
when you would probably really have a problem.
Think hog barn.
So I think being proactive right now, where we have nothing coming in, and putting a moratorium out and letting us get this done right, I think might be a smart way to go.
I just,
I think Gary's had 3 months already in process of looking at this, and I don't see any reason whatsoever to put a moratorium on to stop this. Gary's working on it. We can fine tune it within the next couple months. Our zoning board has been elected or appointed by the county commission to come up with a plan. And if they can't come up with a plan in 2 to 3 months, then they maybe shouldn't be sitting on that board.
Well, if you don't have an ordinance and
I understand that. but
Mr.
we
Johnson
gotta-
wants to decide next week that he wants to put in a solar farm, and he starts moving dirt, gonna have a problem when they tell
I
him no,
understand that.
because, ooh, suddenly there's an ordinance.
I understand that. Gary's been working on a proposal to bring to us.
I don't think he's ready yet. Perhaps he could share.
Could I ask one question? Then what's the purpose of planning and zoning? Why are we here then? If you're just gonna go with what Gary says, then why are we here?
No.
Why am I spending all this time at night researching and trying to give you guys the best product I can? Because I wanna make sure that I do my best and do my diligence and can answer any questions that you guys have for me or any of my other planning and zoning. Chris brought that up the other night. Why are we here? Why do we have planning and zoning?
Just because you put a moratorium in for a year doesn't mean you can't get it done in 6 months.
I understand that.
I'm more concerned about somebody deciding to put in the first one, and then there being an ordinance developed, and then you have company B, C, and D saying, well, Louis got one.
But see, here's our planning and zoning board has the right, when they come to them, to make sure that they are putting it in the right place. I think we can come up with a setback with.
Not without
But
rules.
What happens when midway through this process and suddenly company A says, oh, we're not liking where this ordinance is going and we're gonna rush in and get this in before the
well,
ordinance is put in?
this is gonna, the soonest we could do anything is 10-day hearing, okay? And what's the difference between a moratorium or some basic rules and guidelines? What's the difference? One saying you can't do it,
One saying is that you
one
can't
is
do it,
saying here are
period,
some.
until we have it figured out.
Well, which is how long?
Which is until we have it figured
Which
out,
is how
which is a
long?
maximum of 2 years.
Okay, so we're gonna put all the brakes on everything for up to 2 years?
Not
No,
everything,
just solar.
solar farms.
Okay, but,
Wanda, you said what?
So-
Just
I don't
hold
know.
them?
Just solar farms.
I think we could do a rough outline and pass that with temporary zoning controls. And meanwhile, have the planning commission get a detailed plan. And if it takes them 6 months to do it, that's fine. And then we would also have these temporary zoning controls in if a project would come in. And I think we would be fine. When we went to the 8-county meeting in December and we talked to Betty Smith about this, we brought this back. December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Now it's July. Now it's an issue. 8 months later, been talking about this for 8 months and nothing's happened.
But this is the reason why you put the moratorium in place. Now you have, we want to have a road.
But why is it issue now and it wasn't
should have
8
put the
months ago when
moratorium
we
in
brought it
December.
Well, let's not do anything at all and just let the solar farms come in and do what they
Okay,
do.
let's,
Gary's got the floor.
Well, like I said, I think we're already got a good start. We already did talk about setbacks. Chris brought up the fact that, maybe we'd be looking at something similar as that we do for the CAFOs. But we're moving forward. I think, my biggest concern initially was that we at least had something in place in the ordinance that was a conditional use. And like Dan said, we could put conditions on a project if somebody tried to come in soon here. But I understand the concerns. This is new. We don't know what all this is going to bring, especially environmentally. And we certainly want to be cognizant of that.
Come on up.
Well, you have to come to the podium.
My name is George Schermerhorn. I moved to Yankton in 2015 and been here since. I'm from Iowa, Sioux City, Iowa, teacher, coach a long time. The windmills are coming. The solar panels are coming. When? I can't tell you that, but they're coming. The federal government is going to jam them down your throat. And I don't care who's elected president. It doesn't make any difference to me. It's coming because we're all going to need electricity. And the price of electricity is going sky high in a matter of 10 to 12 years. Today, a Ford F-150 pickup just dropped $10,000. The new electrical vehicles. #1 seller for Ford pickup trucks. They just cut $10,000 off the price today. There's going to be a lot of pickups bought. We're going to need electricity. It's going to go sky high. Solar and wind from Iowa. You got a great example, a great state that's going through what you guys are trying to go through now. I seen it. They handled it really well. There are some, I'll give you an example. The windmill rental used to be $500 a year. It's $6,000 a year that you get money back from that company. You have a windmill on your land. And there's lawsuits being filed about reciprocity agreements. Everybody wants to compete, but it's coming. My suggestion would be get moving. Get some deadlines started. I also have a son runs Sabre Industries galvanizing plant. They used to do all their galvanizing out for steel. No more. They built the plant in Sioux City. 70 people works galvanizing. Windmills, the infrastructure program for guardrails, the solar panels for the steel that's put in for the solar panels. The solar companies can't wait. They're putting steel in without being galvanized. And he's going to make a fortune in 15 years when they got to pull them back out, put the steel galvanized back in there because the steel's all can't hold them up anymore. They're heavy. It's just a matter of time. My suggestion, get the thing started. What I would like to see is Yankton County take the lead in the state of South Dakota. If you could take the lead here over Sioux Falls, over Aberdeen, over Rapid City, that would be a statement. Because it's coming, and it's coming this way from the south, Nebraska, and it's coming from Iowa. It's just a matter of time. And there's a lot of companies in that stock market area. And I'll leave you with this. I went to my 50-year-old reunion back in New York, And I asked a friend of mine, I said, well, what have you been doing all your life? He says, well, I was building nuclear reactors. I said, what? He said, yeah, I was working, going down 6 months, pouring concrete reactors, come up and get a year off and then go back. And I said, well, how'd that go? And he says, well, they stopped building them. So now I'm building the electric stations on the New York State Thruway. And I says, well, how's that going? It ain't gonna work. He says, there's no way there's gonna be enough charging stations. He told me right now that Canada is building 28 small nuclear reactors to sell us electricity in America, because we're not gonna be able to supply it. That's what's coming. Canada's jumped ahead of us. 28 small nuclear reactors that are safe now to build, by the way. And they're gonna sell us the electricity because we can't produce enough of it quick enough. So my suggestion is get a timeline, because they're coming. I'm telling you, they're coming this way. And Iowa's a great example. You could probably get a lot of info from Iowa on what they've been doing. So that's just my input.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Konopasek, and I was just scrolling through my phone here. I just was looking in moratoriums, and what I see repeatedly is, yes, there's different lengths, but it seems to be that the most common is 6 months, and they can, so it's not like it has to be 2 years, and I mean, I tell you, it's like April, 2023, March 2023. I mean, it's happening everywhere, but it seems like, just putting that out there for information, I, for one, think that I just want to encourage you, county commissioners, to realize that taking the time to have your zoning and planning doing the research so that you feel very confident about the decision, we as citizens here really appreciate that. And so I just thank you for considering the moratorium. Thank you.
You have to realize, of course, that it probably takes about 3 to 4 months for the start, for us to go through all the procedures that we have to do to get an ordinance in place. So.
9 months. No, I get it. There's a process. Yes, understood. So I just was sharing.
We want to get the process down so everybody understands it.
Yes, and time is of the essence. So I was just sharing, it seemed like 6 months seems to be a very common time period. So, but thank you.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to.
Oh, you can't make a motion? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do anything tonight.
No.
So
Yeah.
basically, I think you guys have to decide how you want it listed for the next agenda.
I think we have a planning commission, they're already working on it, but they do need the time. I think we should have, we should get it onto the agenda. Either we have very restrictive temporary zoning, or we have a moratorium.
And I get what you're saying, and they're kind of the same thing. All the county commission associate things that I've been, moratorium is, I know it's thrown around, but I don't, and I know Deb is talking about temporary zoning controls. It's not, in my opinion, is not the same thing. A moratorium, yeah, we can say that, but if it's temporary zoning controls is what we'd be doing. Right?
There's
Yeah.
two different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's right, she's talking about a moratorium.
Okay, and where and you're talking about 11, 2, 10, giving us the authority to
So
do
the
a
idea,
moratorium?
right, so the idea
Okay.
would be that's your temporary zoning.
Okay, but yeah.
What you're
Yeah.
saying is correct too.
Yeah.
You can do it as a temporary zoning
So-
measure.
Then let's call it that. Let's call it temporary zoning controls and not a moratorium, because in my
But those
opinion.
are two different,
There are two different things. Why not do and advertise for a moratorium for a period of time to let the planning and zoning do their job, do their research, so that we don't have ridiculously big setbacks, so that it's just impossible
What-
to do anything.
See, I think also we should give.
But then
our
have an
planning
end date.
Commission pretty good guidance on what we want to see out of this too, because we can't make it extreme, and we need to have a product that we're gonna approve too.
Yeah,
'cause
well,
even-
yes,
even
I
us,
agree
we
with
have
that,
some
and I
pretty
also agree with what you
differences.
said earlier
Yeah.
too, is that we can't let them take forever. We do also need to kind of give them a time limit and a deadline.
Gary, is it possible for there to be a subcommittee of the commission and the planning and zoning
I think that'd be a good idea.
to put it
Sure.
together?
Put a task
Sure.
force together.
Put a task force together to
do
get
that.
it done, put a time frame on that, and bring it to the commission in September.
That might be a little quick, but,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
we'll see, we'll know more after next month's meeting, but yeah, that's certainly an idea also.
I think we could get it done relatively quick, and it's important that we get something here, and we can always adjust it
Because you
later.
get
It's
into.
never perfect the first time
You get into 2
out.
months when you're passing it back and forth from the planning to the commission.
September
Yeah.
is a month away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 2-month process minimum regardless,
Yeah,
just to
I'm
get things through.
thinking mid-October would be more realistic, because next week is the last week of July.
I don't want to speak for planning commission, but I think maybe, I was thinking maybe the timeline they were thinking was maybe by end of year.
I think that's pretty reasonable.
That's
Because, yeah,
realistic.
Because they meet once a month. Yeah, you might get your task force together by September.
In order to educate both groups, both the commission and the planning and zoning, it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
If you're gonna educate both of them on all the issues that have been put on the floor by these two ladies here and whomever else.
I think it might be a good idea to have maybe maybe in September, a report on this issue from the planning commission to us on our meeting, and we'll have it on the agenda again.
Yeah, we could do it the week after next month's meeting even to just
If they have-
discuss what we discussed.
If they haven't gathered all the information,
Yeah, and at least then we can give some preliminary feedback. They can go back and they can continue on their work with a little bit of feedback in the interim. And this way we can work together on this.
I think we should give them some guidance too, but here today, something that I'd like to see that we got from Gary is, I think we should decide on the size because I want anybody up here, I don't want to regulate, if somebody puts a solar panel on their barn, I don't want to regulate that. If it's a big solar farm, yes.
All
Now,
you gotta do is leave a little blank in there, and once the
Yeah.
procedures are going along, then,
Yeah.
and then the task force agrees on
Yeah.
what that number should be
Yeah,
in
but
that blank.
Yeah, but I think the majority of this board, or maybe all of us, we want to regulate solar farms and not individual solar on people's
agree.
houses. Is that correct?
There's already an ordinance,
That's
I
already a
believe,
permitted
for-
use.
for houses and
Well,
barns.
just so we're all, okay. And then I believe there needs to be some sort of road maintenance agreement for the install. Does anybody disagree with that? So they don't destroy county and township roads.
There should, yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay,
these
so
things
good.
need infrastructure.
Why don't you
The
just hand that
infrastructure
piece
should
of
be there,
paper to planning
so-
and zoning?
Yeah.
Gary's already sent it to him. And then I think
We're
there
already
needs to be
working
some
on it.
some
So-
sort
Yeah.
of decommissioning plan. And I'm not gonna specify what that is, but, okay, so that's a pretty good start right there.
And I think another interesting use case that you see you see these in cities more too, is like so you have a larger business, they have large roofs, they start putting solar panels up on the top of those roofs, they're also selling back into the grid, and they're actually doing a net positive in some cases, so. When you're on a commercial property versus a residential,
Yeah.
there's a size thing there too. That's something to investigate.
Well, that's a good point you bring up, like what zoned areas do we wanna allow these, I would say we probably just allow them in ag. I don't think we want to probably allow solar farms in residentially zoned areas. I don't think that's probably a good idea, so we should probably just allow them in ag.
Okay, we're gonna draw this to a conclusion here. We can go back and forth on ifs and ifs for the rest of the night. Gary, when can we reasonably have a product, have some direction to the planning and zoning and get it back to you to bring to us?
Well, I think it's gonna take at least a couple months to dive into some of these issues that they have concerns about. But then, like I said, I think by end of year, we could have a pretty good idea where we're at.
Is that settled with everybody?
And like maybe one interim report in the middle, just kind
Yeah.
of.
So
I'd have more
are we
often than
talking, it's
Yeah.
ready to approve or it's approved by the end of the year? Because that's a big difference.
I think it's
Bring a
approved.
product to us.
So if it's approved by the end of the year, that means the planning
Recommendation
commission
by
has
the
it
planning
November.
commission.
By
So then we
by
would,
1st of November, the
November.
planning commission
by
has
the
it.
end of the year, they would have something that they could bring to us. And
No,
To
no,
us.
that's
No.
not what he's saying. He's saying
So-
it is approved, ordinance is
And
done by
approved
the end of the year.
Okay,
So
That's
that-
not
that's-
what Gary's
that's-
saying.
That's what Don is saying.
that's what I'm trying to figure
I-
out.
I
What
don't-
are-
Yes,
what is
yes.
Gary saying?
Don's
and what is Donna saying?
moving it too fast.
Yeah, but everybody just quit for a second. Gary, what did you say?
Yeah, so basically, I think if we have August, September, October, and maybe November, then we should have it pretty much ready to recommend to the county commission and
So
go
that-
from there.
That's sometime in
So that
January or
by
February.
end of year or first, well, that'd be even January, probably yet, that we'd be moving forward. But if that's too long, then we,
I think that's
So I think,
reasonable.
so
think
I
that's
would say a
reasonable.
reasonable, say, time limit on this is saying that we have the ordinance in place, approved, done by February.
Sure.
Oh,
February 1.
February 1, first meeting of February.
The timeline keeps going.
I don't know if that's the first meeting.
That's the goal.
But then they'll be set back, and then it'll be a
There-
year out.
That is always happens in a plan, but
I-
that's
I
our
don't-
goal.
I
and
don't
we
see
wanna
why
try to
four
work towards
months
that
is
goal.
not enough.
well, I think our goal, yeah, is that we'll work on it to get it to the point where everybody's comfortable recommending it to the county commission, and within 2-3 months, I would think
November,
we'd have
so we can-
a lot of questions answered.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, were you gonna recommend some sort of a joint task force to oversee
I
this?
threw that out on the table. The only
I
nod
think
got
that's a
was
good-
from Gary.
Yeah, I think that would be good
that's a
for
good
some-
idea, because I just
to dig
see
up
this-
some of this information
this
that
taking
we
forever.
I
get
think-
questions
I
about.
think those people should go to the planning commission, because by the time you choose a subcommittee and then try and make everybody's schedules work, it's just a waste of time. Have those people that are interested go to the planning commission. We get more done faster.
I disagree with that because on the planning commission, there's some people that probably won't be involved in it at all.
Well, then it doesn't matter, because the rest of the people will come.
I think I'm in favor of
I would
a
agree.
smaller group of people coming together, going back to their group, coming back together, and then come to the
I would
commission.
agree with you, Don.
John?
I'm in favor of a task force to work with the planning commission, but who's gonna decide and choose that, put that task force together?
We'll figure it
Gary?
out.
Yeah,
Dan?
John, would you serve on that? And
Certainly.
I guess I'd nominate John to serve on that.
2 commissioners, 2-3 planning commission.
I would like to serve on that. My background in electrical engineering, along
Yeah, that would
with,
be
I have
good.
a couple friends who actually design plants like these.
Okay,
So
we got 2 commissioners.
Well, and so you probably can't serve on that.
No.
Well, I would say, Ryan, if we have John do it, you might not be able to if Don is already
No,
on it,
I'm not
'cause
gonna
it'd be-
do it.
Okay, well, but if.
I'd rather
okay.
have you two on.
Okay, I got it. I just didn't want a quorum situation, so, all right, never mind.
Okay. Is that what you need put on the agenda for next time? Discussion?
On to pipelines now. Right?
No.
We're just gonna attack one at a time, right, Gary?
We'll have the meeting next month, and then we'll get the task force set up to meet right after that, basically.
I'd really
and
encourage you to
start.
get the task force set up this month.
Well, we can certainly have a meeting.
You got two of them now,
Okay.
probably three.
I'll send out a note asking for some volunteers from planning.
I would recommend Mike Welsh being on this task force also.
Do you want in on this, Mike, or not?
We'll get
All right,
it
I'll
set up.
second that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
You're talking this month, like next week?
That's all there's left of this
Well,
month.
It's almost the end of the month.
I'm not talking about writing the document, I'm talking about getting the task force
Right.
people together committed to come to a meeting. And if we do it next
Right.
month, after our monthly meetings, it'll be September.
Yeah.
And then we'll be into the December and February.
Exactly. No, that's what I.
It'll be next July.
Okay,
Moving on.
good discussion. I think we're down to pet policy now.
Yep.
Do you need me to start that too? Basically, as we discussed last meeting, is that there was a number of counties that were concerned about staff that was starting to bring pets in, and Don and John just asked me to bring it forward to the meeting, and you guys can decide whether you want to add it to the employee manual or not.
You've all seen the policy and read it?
I make a motion to approve the 314 animals in the workplace policy for Yankton County.
Motion by John, second.
Second.
Second by Dan. Discussion?
Other than the pets that are coming to the ambulance service, or does the county have a lot of problems with people bringing animals to work?
We have one known problem.
Yeah.
Is that the ambulance problem?
I don't know. I do know, but I'm not gonna tell you.
Well, that's not particularly helpful, is it?
It really shouldn't matter where it's at.
Yeah.
So we were asked to look at it as well. Our office's only concern was it's going in the employee handbook, but there's references to, other non-employees bringing animals into the building. And so you have shared buildings, so you have non-county employees over in the other building. We don't regulate the state employees, we don't regulate the city employees. They are coming into a county building. So,
And non-employees are coming.
and non-employees.
But if we say county employees cannot do that, then we're covered.
As far as our handbook goes. I
Yes,
mean,
exactly.
I just wanted the commission to be aware that if someone in the clerk of court's office would bring an animal in, it's a county building, but they're not a county employee. So you're putting it in the handbook. So you're regulating county employees only.
And there's no problem with,
But if
there's
this
no problem
became a
with that.
problem, we could post this on the building?
You would then have to change it to an order.
Okay. I
An
guess
ordinance.
if that becomes a problem at that point, then I guess
So
we'll
does
just-
this mean I can no longer take a pony to the courthouse?
No pony for you, Wanda. Sorry. Maybe for your birthday party.
I
Okay.
think
For your birthday.
an emotional support
Motion has
pony.
been made. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Dan, second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the
Aye.
same? Okay. Motion carries. You voted no?
No, I voted aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay.
You were just so quick moving on to the nays.
Motion carries.
I move to approve claims.
Minutes.
Oh. I s-
The only thing
Well,
the only thing on the minutes, the board asked the two parties to reach, the approval for the road district will be on August 1st. That's not necessarily the case. I would say, the board asked the parties if they could reach an agreement, and I'd say maybe the road district meeting was moved to August 1st. Not that it will be approved at that meeting. That was my only.
Which one are you?
The discussion on Sundance Road.
I know, but I,
That's the 8 and the 3 or 8 and 4.
Minutes.
I can't find it in the.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the big paragraph toward the bottom of the page, on the first page. That would be my only correction
Yes,
to the
that
minutes.
doesn't actually-
I would agree with that's not the correct word, that it would come back before the commission on August
I
1,
like that. I like that. So.
2023, yeah.
And with that, and then there was no second on page 5, the action.
I changed that.
What's that?
Seconded by Heine.
Okay. Is that for the, coming out of exec, where we paid those people?
2321,
2321C?
2321 2C. Isn't that the one that was missing?
Yeah, there's nobody seconded that one. That's.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Fox.
Yeah.
You 2311C.
11C?
Yeah,
That was the one where Wanda gave away tax dollars again.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Look at that scowl.
Okay.
I forgot, so 23211C, I forgot who seconded that, but we'll have to add who seconded that. That was my only one to add.
The one you already said?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot who
You gotta
seconded
go
it.
back to the video to find that out.
I don't know, I'll take
I'll
credit
look
for
at-
that.
I'll look
Or
at the
whoever
tape.
seconded, and then with those changes, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes with the changes.
Have a motion, John second. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same, motion carries. Auditor, treasurer report.
The Boys and, is that for last year's Boys and Girls Club, or this year's? Under commission?
20?
I believe that's for last year's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we pay 20?
That's usually what we do, right, Don?
No, 10.
Okay,
Why did we pay 20 then?
yeah,
From last year and this year.
okay. So that's not a new one for coming up, that's from last year?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Last year and this year. Was the amount 20,000?
I don't remember.
Yes,
that.
it is 20,000, the amount.
from last year and for this year.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the auditor treasurer report? Do we have a first motion?
I tried to make a motion to approve claims.
Oh, I
Second.
did the claims.
Only Wanda. Who is the second? And no-
Second,
Second.
Dan, I thought.
or whoever does.
Okay, all in favor of approving the claims, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same, motion carries. Now, the auditor treasurer report.
And that can be just one motion.
With pooled cash.
Oh.
Cash and auditor treasurer report.
I see there's no balance for the core trust Yankton.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That's my only question. I don't, usually there's something there. That was my only question that I saw. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's blank.
I think it's something's supposed to be there, but
I'll check with Patty.
with that correction, I'd make a motion to approve.
You made the motion, Dan?
Yeah.
Do I have a
and
second?
We'll check into the core trust Yankton.
John, you second?
I'll second that.
John, second. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed the same. We don't need second ones on both of those, right? Motions. Pool cash,
Move approval.
okay. Next item on the agenda is public comment.
Patty, was there an executive session on this one?
We didn't add it.
I thought you sent one that had it. Okay,
Both Deb and Rob said no.
okay.
I'm listening.
Okay. Lauren Nelson, Planning and Zoning, that's why I'm here. My whole goal with this moratorium, again, we sat here the other night and we started it. It's not like we're just sitting at the meetings and doing nothing. We've started it. And my whole goal was to start it and to take our time so that when a question comes up or something needs to be researched, we have the time and without that pressure of somebody, again, coming through that door of Gary's office. I don't really understand what the task force is, but when I talked to the gentleman down in Lynn County, Kansas, the pride that he had in his planning and zoning was tremendous. I don't know how many times he said, planning and zoning did a phenomenal job. We gave it to the commissioners, and the commissioners were ecstatic with it.
Did you get a copy of it?
Yes, I do.
I can't ask questions.
Yeah, you can. He
No,
sent
I
me, yeah,
can't.
he did. He sent me the email of it. He sent me the copy of it. And that's, like I said, that's all I wanted to do with this, is to have the time to do a thorough job and give you a product that you could be proud of. And for example, the gentleman from Bon Home, to look at it and say, this is a good, let's look at this. This is a good quality product. Let's use it. Let's take what we need from it and let's do the same. And that's all I wanted from this. I'm kind of confused now with this task force. Just what's the responsibility of planning, planning and zoning?
It reduces it from 12 people down to 5 people to make a
You
decision.
can't comment,
No, you can't comment.
because
So
I
I
got
get
in
to
trouble
talk.
last time for commenting during public
Oh,
comment.
that's right.
And the thing about it is saying that with our planning and zoning, and Gary can say this, we had good discussion the other night. Everybody was talking. This affects everybody in this county, and it affects not just 5 years, but it affects 20 to 30. We know the monumental importance this has, and we had a good conversation. So whatever you decide, but just your planning and zoning, we're a good group of people. We have people that research. We have people that participate. We're here to serve you. We are appointed by you, and we want to give you something that you guys can really be proud of. But I guess now that's not, with the task force, I guess that's changed now.
Trying to speed. Sorry.
Lauren, can you get Gary a copy of that, whatever you got from Kansas? And I'd like to see it and read it and help all of us know more.
Yeah.
So I'd appreciate that. So,
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ed Van Gerpen from Avon. In all due respect, can I ask a question at least?
Sure. We won't answer it. Neither in
Well,
public
you can send
comment.
me an email. Do you have your zoning set up for wind turbines? Have you approached that yet?
We already have it, yes.
You do?
Yeah, I lied. We answered.
No, I did. I'm in trouble, Wanda. Okay.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because, we've got 2 wind parks north of us, and things are starting to come to light that, nobody expected. But it's, we gotta live with it. And there was 80 acres for sale, and I called the auctioneer, I said, you know, there's a wind easement on that. Well, he wasn't sure. Well, I said, there is, and I gave him a telephone number. And so then on the day of the sale, he handed out a sheet of paper, what the taxes were and whatnot. Then on the bottom, mortgage dated 2019, executed by Prevailing Winds Park to the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, New York branch to secure an indebtedness of $318 million. And I did some checking up at the courthouse, and there was at least 70 easements signed, and they all had a mortgage on them.
For 300.
And to secure this loan. So I went down to Brian McGinnis and talked to him about it, and well, he says, I know the gal in Minneapolis that was involved with the wind farm, and so he called her, and I'd been up to the courthouse, so they knew I was interested, and the Register of Deeds called me in and said that she'd gotten permission to avoid all those bankruptcies, or all those mortgages. And so if they hadn't done something right, I don't know, but I'm not a wind farm supporter. I live on the north side of Avon, and I sit in my living room. I can see, we got 101 towers north of Avon, and I can see several of them. And if that's our future, we're going to be in trouble. Yesterday at 6 o'clock, none of them turning. They only produced electricity nationwide about 34% of the time. And I predict that we get a different president who's got common sense, who has said that.
We aren't supposed to go political on public comment time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay. Anybody else on public comment? Public comments declared over. Commissioner updates. Dan?
I don't think I got anything. Amazing.
John?
I have nothing this week.
Wanda?
Nada.
I guess I have one little thing. I'm still trying to get some answers out of East River Electric, exactly how the transmission line is going to be routed out there. They sent out a letter recently to residents, and I still haven't gotten a call back, but I'll keep pressing on them, so.
I've been attending Yankton Thrive strategic planning meetings for the last month or so, and they're going at it a little different than what we did, but they're in the process and trying to develop manpower for our county and opportunities. So, items for next meeting. Dan?
James River resolution from Mr. Lane.
What did you say?
James River resolution for Mr. Lane. I believe he's going to have that on the agenda. Possibly we'll have the strategic planning update for the ambulance. So that'll possibly be on there to be determined. So.
John?
I think Mike's gonna have the bid letting for the Northwest James River Road repair.
Okay.
Other than
Wanda,
that, that's all
nothing?
I got.
Ryan?
I don't have anything new.
Well,
Hasn't been already added.
you know, like pushing things down the road, like we're talking about here on this solar wind farms. We talked about strategic planning back in, I think, February 1st, and we haven't put a plan together. So I would like to propose that at our next meeting, we bring the drafts of our strategic plan for discussion.
Sounds good.
I actually did meet with Eric, so we put kind of mine together too, so.
Okay. So we'll put that on the agenda. Probably about a 5 minute, because we just look at them.
I'll just put it at
And then later in the or at a meeting later, we'll discuss changes and then go from there. Any other things for the next meeting? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
John, Dan, second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, the same, motion carries, we are adjourned.
My only concern about that whole resolution thing is I was talking to Preston, who's going to patrol there? Because is it Game Fish and Parks? Is it the sheriff?